You're watching the Batter Fans Network.
The heroes are back. Beards talking balls, rapping pink and black. Coming live from the 305, it's official tissue. The Batter Fam, Chris and Dan, weekly rocking with you. We talk Messi, Boosie, Jordy, Lucho, the Fat Four, to Ben Cram, Noah, Ruiz, Fred. What more could you ask for? Tighten up and get ready, listen in on the pod. Solana and X in Espanol, just to even the odds. Breakdowns and gas bagging, join the tribe and just vibe. Free 99, don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't hesitate, say what's up, go ahead and come in. No question about it, I'm ready to get hurt again.
No question about it, I am ready to get hurt again.
Solana, the Herons are back. Welcome to another episode of the Batter Herons podcast. I am your host, Chris Duran, and alongside me is none other than Daniel Solana on episode 330. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. I mean, it's opening day. There's a lot of soccer going on today. I see you're wearing your Marlins shirt. I was watching the Marlins. I don't know if they ended up winning. It was 4-4 in the bottom of the ninth. I don't know if they ended up coming back and winning, but hey, it's a good day. We have Inter Miami back this week. Philadelphia Union preview. We're going to have Todd the God on. Bro, I'm excited, Chris. I'm excited.
No, it's a good day. Listen, the Marlins are undefeated right now. They won against the Pirates 5-4. So they're undefeated as we speak. It's already a better start this season than last.
You're just like an oxymoron, though. You got a Marlins shirt with a New York Yankees hat.
Well, so I've always been a Yankee fan, right? And the reason I love this hat is because it has the logo in the back, since I wear my hat typically backwards anyway. But I've always been a Yankees fan ever since watching baseball since I was a kid. But I go to the games with my kids to watch the Marlins. And plus, you got to support the cause, guys. If you like this shirt, you can cop it at batterfans.com if you want to go ahead and get the year started right. Party like it's 1997.
Damn,
so
you got Craig Counsell on the shirt and everything. I mean, that's a throwback.
No, I had to throw up the bobbleheads up. I got my Star Wars Aaron Judge. May the 4th be with you, because it's my birthday. I got the bobblehead there. I got this Livan Hernandez bobblehead right here from when they won the championship. I love you, Miami. I mean, I even got a Chuck Carr bobblehead.
Oh, wow.
Right, from when I went to the game. When I went to the games, you guys got to go, because listen, I was listening to you guys, and the Marlins do have great giveaways. That's one thing that they're really good about. And I'm thinking about doing a giveaway because I have an extra Livan Hernandez bobblehead. Super cool. He was one of the biggest pieces in the winning of the World Series in 1997. So I think that at some point we're going to do a bobblehead giveaway. So I think it'd be really cool. So yeah, Gus, really talking about the Marlins. It's just real quick, Gus. Okay, we're talking local stuff here. Come on, it's opening day of America, Gus. It's America's opening day. That's what it is. Okay. Now, house cleaning. I wanted to get a couple things out there. You guys did a bang up job in the last couple episodes. Danny was lucky enough to go and see this bad boy, which is beautiful. I mean, this thing is just effing-tastic. Now, it's crazy to me though, because some of the images that he had put showing the parking, showing the tailgate, showing, the main entrance looks astronomically far from the stadium. There was a question at the end of the podcast that you had that was really good, which I completely forgot to bring up and write down. But I mean, that main entrance is just so far from the parking garage.
I think the most important thing that we talked about, other than, we did talk about the stadium, about the tailgate area, about the parking situation. But I don't know I assume you caught a little bit of the show, but I think the most important topic we covered was that Danny was going to get his tickets before you. So it looks like you guys aren't going to be sitting together anymore. I mean, he was definitely throwing it down on you during the show.
Well, I just want him to know, Danny, if you're watching, and I already told you, you piece of crap, I already knew about the fact that I wasn't going to get the tickets with you. I had already spoken to our rep, and they told me that you would have to wait, and I wouldn't want you to wait. You got your tickets day one, so by all means, get the best seats that you can in the house. You and your family are gonna love it, and I'll find good seats. Typically, nobody ever gets seats behind the goals, so I think I'll be okay. And it's about the experience, but it is what it is. And Rubita, I don't need to show my freebies. Danny made me out to be like a Karen, like I get everything for free. I don't get everything for free. I got screwed a couple times, and I asked for a couple things. I'm not sitting at customer service saying, "Let me speak to your manager," guys. Okay.
I mean, you're getting hammered in the chat because they're saying you just became a fan in 2022. But I'll tell you this: even if you did become a fan in 2022, your ball knowledge, like we were talking about in the Discord, has improved drastically from 2022. So we're only 3 years in, and this is exactly the Chris that we're getting. This is the Chris that the fans deserve. So I'm very proud of you, and I had to throw that out there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Solana. Yes, I did not become a fan of this team until, I don't know if it was 2021 or 2022. I don't remember. But I know that I ended up getting the season tickets the very next season after I watched the last game, one of the last games with Danny. So I guess technically it will be 2022 because that's when I originally got my tickets. But yeah, I wasn't day one, guys. Sorry, I didn't call to get tickets day one. I didn't even know. I didn't even like soccer at that point. So like, listen, the fact that I'm clocked in right now says a lot because I'm still on vacation. Okay, so all that stuff out of the way, we got a game to preview. We got a game, and it's a beautiful game coming up this Saturday. Okay, and it's against the Philadelphia Union. They'll be coming to South Florida at 7:30 will be the start of the game. And of course, like every single time we preview this game, we have to bring on none other than Todd the God Lewis. Todd, welcome to the program, my friend. How are you doing?
Yeah.
We dressed for the occasion. I mean,
Yes.
I got the shades on, got the pink on, had to go ahead and represent you guys. And I texted Chris and said, for people that are listening, I'm coming down to South Florida this weekend, coming down on Friday. So looking forward to finally getting some nice warm weather. But I texted Chris during the week and I said, you know what? You've been a big influence on me, Chris, because I found myself this past week pulling a shopping cart and not pushing. And I said, when I go down to South Florida, when I go to Lauderdale, I got to go to a Publix and I got to pull the cart just for Chris. So would it be a good influence, Chris?
Yeah, listen, I mean, I basically revolutionized the different way of shopping for groceries. So, I mean, I don't want to take too much credit, but then again, I am going to take all the credit. Mr. Krabs, is that you were going to say something, Solana? Go ahead.
No, I was going to say in Uruguay, I actually pulled the cart as well. And I thought about you and I was like, what am I doing? And I had to immediately switch back over to pushing the cart because I couldn't be a cart puller.
And by the way, Soccer Daddy saying Todd sing Dupe song. Listen, Soccer Daddy, if I wasn't going to be an Inter Miami fan, I'd be a Philadelphia Union fan just for the simple fact that I love that goal celebration song. I love it. Whenever I watch a Philadelphia Union game or highlights with my son and they score and I start singing the Dupe song, my son literally looks back at me and rolls his eyes at me because he is so annoyed by that song. And I don't care. I play it on my free time. Eat it. Okay, guys? And Mr. Krabs is saying, why is Daniel ducking Todd again? Danny and I, we tagged. I came down. He was going up to Central Florida. We tagged. And so now he's taking a vacation with his family up in Central Florida. And Soccer Daddy saying, kids in Miami are scared. Todd coming. Todd's coming, and he's coming swiftly. Okay, guys? And yes, we're going to talk about soccer football, Kings. Don't get your knickers in a bunch.
Now let's. It's opening day. You mentioned The Marlins coming back 5-4. Former Baltimore Orioles Kyle Stowers getting the game-winning hit. And yeah, should have wore this instead. Which way? Yeah, right here. Orioles.
There we
Adley
go.
Rutschman, beast for
Nice.
the Orioles. 2 home runs today for the Orioles on their 12-2 win over the Blue Jays. So maybe we should talk baseball. Exciting day. Your Yankees also won today, Chris, I saw. So
Yes, absolutely.
Good day of baseball.
It has been a good day of American baseball. Yes, absolutely. And people still talking about shopping cart. Amanda, I love that. I love the contribution. I was pushing the shopping cart with my forms tonight in the store. I wonder what Chris would think about it. Listen, sometimes it gets lazy. You know, shopping it's a little hurtful sometimes. And listen, John, just enjoy the ride, baby. Just sit back and relax. We're gonna talk football. We're gonna break down the game coming up. Todd, just to get started on things with Philadelphia, they've been on an incredibly hot start. They're the top team in the East right now. At this very moment, you guys are sitting at first place. You guys got 4 wins, 0 draws, and a loss. What's going on?
Yeah, the scoring goals, right? Second highest scoring team in MLS, 12 goals. I think, unfortunately, your rivals, Orlando City, lead the league with 13, who the Union actually beat on opening day, 4-2. Pasalic, their new DP signing, scored twice, I believe, in that game against the Union. But, yeah, I mean, the Union are getting goal contributions all over the field. I had Solano on my podcast a few weeks ago to talk about the Union's highest paid transfer fee player in Bruno Damiani, scored on his debut against Cincinnati. You're getting goals from Ty Baribo, who leads the league, 6 goals. Quinn Sullivan, Kai Wagner continue to rack up the assists for the Union. And yeah, I mean, you're just seeing a whole new buy-in to this brand new style of play that Bradley Cornell, well, I wouldn't say brand new, but they're getting back to what the Union were in 2019, 2020 in a high press style of play. And Bradley Cornell, former St. Louis City manager, New York Red Bulls interim manager, longtime assistant coach there. And so those two teams, we all know, press. And the Union have been a pressing team, but the last few years, they kind of got away from that, more so holding on to the ball and everything and pressing when they felt necessary. But with Bradley Cornell, yeah, it seems like it's a pretty nonstop press. And so far, I mean, everything's been clicking for this team. The only game that things looked a little bit shaky in was against Nashville. And that game was a lot of controversial calls in, where Quinn Sullivan thought he won a penalty kick with for the Union. Referee went to VAR, said no penalty. The Union give up a penalty kick to Hani Mukhtar. And it was interesting, too. A couple of days after the game, pro referees came out and said, yeah, we botched all the calls on the field. Our referees weren't up to par. And, you know, I would say you can never leave the game in referees' hands. Union had chances in that game. They didn't capitalize. Daniel Gazdag 1-on-1 against Joe Willis, got too fancy with the ball. They missed a penalty at the end of the game with Quinn Sullivan. And so it's not like the Union didn't have chances in that game. They just couldn't capitalize on their chances. And yes, the referee was horrendous in that game. But again, if you're relying on the referee to dictate your game, then you've already lost the game. You can never leave the game up to the referees. And so that's the only game this season that the Union haven't really converted their chances. Other than that, I mean, they're scoring at free will.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, right? Like you mentioned, leaving the game in the hands of the referee. Usually, a lot of coaches, look, Phil Neville was one of the guys that was coaching for Inter Miami, where he had pretty much a lot of issues with the way that referees were doing their job. But at the same time, you could see that there's frustration because there are a lot of bad calls made, just typically in any game. But at the same time, you kind of have to take ownership into what you're doing as a coach, as a manager, right? And if you're not making the right, calls, the right plays or the right decisions, then it's on you, realistically, no matter what the referee does in the game or not. I mean, am I right there, Solana? Or I mean, does the referee have enough of a control, a handprint on the game?
I mean, I think we've seen it in Inter Miami's first few games, right? We saw it in opening night against New York City FC with that weird call where it could have been a penalty. It couldn't have been a penalty, but then it was outside the box. So they gave Toto Aviles a red card. That directly affected the game. And to me, that was a very bad call by the referee, even though everybody is mentioning this dog zone rule. I just don't ever see that called anywhere else. And the referees, unfortunately, they get paid to do a job. And Chris, you
Yes.
get paid to do a job. When you do something wrong, you get reprimanded or you get something, a bump off your salary. I mean, I don't know how everybody's job works, but if you don't do something correct, they let you know about it. And it seems like pro referees lets these guys get away with these bad calls week after week after week. And it's really disheartening because as a fan and also as a person who covers the sport and covers the game, I mean, you go out there and you spend money, you spend time, you spend effort to get out there and watch your team. And then you have these bums that are in the middle of the field that wear different colors and they can't even make the calls correct. And they directly affect the game, whether it's for your team or against the team, but they're not doing it correctly. So I think you're right on to a level, Chris, but I think you also have to give the referees a little bit more responsibility in what they do.
No, absolutely. And there's no taking that away, right? It's just I think that Todd has a point in terms of bad calls are made and from time to time, more so than not. But at the same time, I think that managers and coaches have to take a little bit more accountability into what it is that they're putting onto the pitch and the decisions that they're making. Now, if you want to feel as mentioning here is Cavan coming. Before we get to who's traveling and who's going to play, I want to know how the fans are going to be traveling, Todd. I know that you, fortunately, are going to be here in South Florida. You'll be here, but are a lot more fans going to be coming to the game?
I have no clue, honestly. I really have no idea. So I guess we'll see.
Is
I'll
Philadelphia a
tell you.
traveling team, though? Are they a traveling team? Like, do their fans travel to away games normally?
The close ones near like Red Bulls, DC United, yeah, they do. I mean, they come anywhere between 100 to 200 people. I've been to Nashville, I've been to Cincinnati, I've been to Atlanta in the past where I went as a fan or sat with their supporters, and they'd be lucky if they would get 50 people at some of these farther away games. So it's just no telling. I mean, look, it's a perfect weather weekend this week, and at least it's not a game in the middle of the summertime like it has been in the past for the Union. So if you're a Union fan looking to get down to Miami, what better time to go than this week where you're not going to be out in the blazing hot. So I wish I had an answer to you guys how many fans are traveling. The local games, they travel really well, but the further away games, I mean, you're lucky if you get 50 fans.
Well, I remember seeing, because where Danny and I sit, we sit on the south side, and over to the left corner of our section, that's where the away fans typically sit, about 2-3 sections over, and then some scattered over here on the east. I believe on the east side, they sit over there also typically, and they went out there. They showed out, not as much as like other fan bases, like Orlando's or like New York, but like there were a lot of fans that were out there. So I do think that they'll be traveling. Now, one thing I really want to get into is, which some of the people are bringing up with Cavan, is who's playing. And the big one I want to bring up is I want to know what's going on with the goalkeeper situation, because apparently in international play, Blake got injured several times playing for Jamaica. And I mean, I don't know if he is as good as he was before or at his best, but even the way he is now is, in my opinion, probably a top 5 goalkeeper in the MLS. And if he doesn't play or if he's still injured, that's going to be a huge blow for you guys. So who's exactly going to be out there? I mean, you guys were missing like 45 people last game.
And they still got the win against St. Louis too, right?
Yes.
I guess I'll start right there. I think on paper, this is the deepest squad that the Union have had in the last couple of years. We talked about Bruno Damiani, who came from Nacional from Uruguay, and he made the start last week because Todd Bariba was in Israel on international duty and didn't play a lot with the national team, which is probably a little bit of a disappointment for him as he leads MLS with 6 goals. And Bradley Cornell, Philadelphia Union head coach, said today at his press conference, that's good news for us, right? That means that he's fresh. And so I fully expect Ty Baribo to go back into that starting 11. Again, I mean, Bruno Damiani has been coming off the bench the last few weeks. And so I do think eventually he will start to be a regular starter in this squad. But Bradley Cornell's prior to last week against St. Louis, he's put out the same starting 11 the last 4 weeks. And part of that is because the Union had to go off to a 3-0 start. And then obviously they lose to Nashville, and then everybody goes away from international duty. And I do think that Cornell, even if there was no international duty, I think he would have switched up the lineup a little bit. But yeah, I'll be curious to see. I think this would be a perfect opportunity to go with a Ty Burrero and a Bruno Damiani partnership up top. We saw what Mikel and Bruno did. They seemed to have a good understanding last week against St. Louis. Neither one of them won this goal sheet. But look, I mean, Indiana Vasilev was a pretty much regular starter last year for St. Louis City and the year prior. And you guys know him too from your time in Miami. And I know he didn't have the best of time here, according to some of your fans, but I do think that Bradley Cornell and Indiana Vasilev have a really good relationship together. And a lot of praise has been talked about with Quinn Sullivan, but I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing Vasilev pushing Quinn Sullivan for starting minutes. Yes, Quinn Sullivan's got off to a hot start with the Union this season with assists, taking players on 1v1. But there have been instances, too, throughout the games where it looks like he's a little bit 1-2 steps behind the play compared to the rest of his teammates. And so, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Indiana Vasilev start to push Quinn Sullivan for that starting role. Daniel Gazdag, again, he's another player that wasn't playing a lot for Hungary during the international break, and I fully expect him to get back into the starting 11. And then, I mean, you have, I think the Union have two of the best sixes in MLS. I think Yannick Bright's also making a argument this year. Phenomenal play for Inter Miami. And I remember, Chris, last year you were hyping him up and saying he is the real deal. And yeah, Yannick Bright getting off to a great start this season again for Inter Miami. But I think for the key, I talked about the Union scoring a lot of goals. It starts with the two double sixes, the double pivot in Danley John Jock, who the Union acquired from Ligue 1 in France last season. And essentially you're looking at him being a brand new signing. I mean, yes, he played against Miami last year, but he finally got a full preseason under his belt. He's used to his teammates and everything. And yeah, he's been phenomenal in the midfield for the Union. But I think a player that's been even better is Jovan Lukic, who the Union got from Serbia, a young 21-year-old, 22-year-old midfielder. And he's been phenomenal for the Union. 2 goals already this season as a number 6, and both of them have been bangers. But both of these guys do such a good job winning the ball back in the midfield, going in on tackles, intercepting the ball. They've done such a great job protecting that back line. And if you got 2 guys that are workhorses that look like they could play 90 minutes and don't need a single substitution, that's exactly what you have in these guys. And they do such a good job protecting the back line for the Union. And for my liking, I think the Union have given up a little bit too many goals. And yeah, I mean, I guess it starts against Orlando City, where to their credit, they gave up.
Orlando's a good team, though.
15 shots, I want to say, maybe a couple more. And then as the games have went on, the Union were giving up less and less shots. And so I do think they've corrected things a little bit defensively. But I mean, look, there's a team that's going to press you up high. And I think Miami's going to be fine with the Union possessing the ball and looking to hit them on the counter attack. And we know Miami's, they take their time. They're so selective in their shot selection. They're not like a team out here. As soon as they get a chance, they shoot. They're patient in their buildup. And so, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, if they force the Union out here to, possess the ball a little bit and try to turn the Union over on a counter attack, because the Union are going to win that ball up high on the field once Miami's in their own half of the field. And that has been when the Union have looked susceptible on the counter attacks, when, their defenders get pushed too high up, whether it's a Frankie Westfield who's been playing as a right back, whether it be a Jacob Glesnes or a Kai Wagner at times getting pushed too high up on the field. So I do think that's an area for the Union, for Miami to exploit on the Union. But yeah, I mean, I know I've kind of taking that question everywhere, and the Cavan question, everybody keeps talking about that. And honestly, I think a lot of people that cover this team would tell you that they're over Cavan Sullivan. And just like I'm sure there's some people in Miami who would say that they're over with Messi. I know there's a lot of people in the league who say they're over with Messi just because you see Messi on every single ad. And that's how I feel personally with Cavan Sullivan. And I get why MLS is doing it. You got to market your big stars. But he's 15 years old. That's what I would remind your audience. I mean, he's a kid. And so as that would be to see him play against Messi, I don't see it. And the Union had a perfect opportunity last week to play him against St. Louis City when they had 7 players away on international duty, 8 when you include Makanya, who was out on red card suspension, and they didn't play him at all. And so, and a game I said last week was a must-win game for the Union, and this is also, I think, a very important game for the
Oh,
Union to at least get
absolutely.
a point. And why would you play a 15-year-old when I just don't think he's ready for meaningful minutes yet in MLS? And so,
Yeah.
as much as your audience or other people in MLS want to talk about him because, oh, he's supposed to be this phenom of U.S. soccer, I would just slow the roll down and say he's 15.
Well, they already
Well,
did it one time, Todd, with Freddie Adu. I don't know if you
exactly.
remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he was 15, 16 when he started starting for DC United, and they completely ruined him by doing
Yeah.
that. So,
Destroyed him.
yeah, I think it's a good idea to let him just slowly work his way, have him play with the Philadelphia Union 2 team, and slowly work his way up. Because, yeah, I understand in South America, some kids are debuting at 16, 17, but it's a different system. And at the end of the day, you have to let him work his way into Bradley Carnell's system, and he knows best. He's the coach. So, while a lot of fans are excited, especially because of the Lamine Yamal talk, and he's 17 years old and he's blowing up. I mean, yeah, this guy, Lamine 17, but Cavan is 15. That's a 2-year
Yeah.
difference. It's a big difference when you have a 15-year-old playing against a 30-year-old. I mean, I saw it a couple weeks ago when I saw Miami United play in the U.S. Open Cup against Inter Miami 2. Inter Miami 2's average age lineup is like 21 years old, when Miami United, who's a semi-pro team essentially, was in their mid-30s. And you can tell the difference in the body type, even though one of the team is a professional and the other one is semi-pro. I mean, you can tell the difference.
Yeah, and I would argue too, right? I mean, look at the experience Inter Miami has on their team, and a Sergio Busquets, a Jordi Alba, a Lionel Messi, a Luis Suarez. I mean, these are seasoned pros, and they would know how to handle Cavan Sullivan. And so it's like, yeah, he may be quick, he may be clever on the ball, but these guys are going to know how to read his game and everything. And so it's not like he's going out here playing against MLS Next Pro opposition, which he seems to do well against. But at the end of the day, you're going against season pros, World Cup winners, players that have won UEFA Champions League, World Cups. So it's like, this isn't MLS Next Pro. This is seasoned veterans. And yeah, I would just, like I said, just pump the brakes. And I guess on the flip side too, some fans may feel like there's pressure because the Union are selling him to Manchester City in 2028, and so the time is ticking on Cavan Sullivan for him to play and everything. And there is a clause in that deal where if Cavan's playing well enough with the Union, then Man City could have him sooner and loan him out to one of their other clubs. And so, yeah, I get all this and everything that the clock's ticking on Cavan Sullivan, but again, I would slow the roll. He's 15 years old, and let's calm down on Cavan for a little bit.
Well, and it's a weird thing because I think that a lot of the fans that follow the MLS are also American fans that follow sports like basketball, where you have like LeBron versus Kobe, right? Kobe versus Jordan, right? You have like the big goat, and then you have the little baby goat that's like coming in, and you want to see that matchup because there's one thing that I think the MLS should sell more is these like rivalries, these personal like head-to-head things, because I think that does sell, sort of Americanize the conflict, and I think that they might garner more fan base. But I think you're right though. People kind of gotta pump the brakes and let this kid develop, and at some point we'll see him. Now, you did talk about the style of play of the team, and it's a little different, right? Because you guys are pressing super high now. But if you could just give a quick breakdown, like what is typically the style of play of Philadelphia? Because on your breakdowns, I see some of the things that they do, and it's like, man, they're on point.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of overloads, and Bradley Cornell actually talked about that today at his press conference, right? He said whether or not Messi plays or not, we're still going to go and approach the game the same way. We're going to go ahead and, pick our overloads and find areas on the field where we want to hit our overloads. And I think, yeah, you see a lot of 2v1 situations the Union try to create. Again, I talked about the Union wanting to win the ball high up the field. Another thing you notice is they play a high line. with those center backs playing almost up to the halfway point. And so I know a Suarez or a Messi aren't the quickest players anymore. And
Yeah.
maybe you could argue they were never the quickest, but I do think there's space for this Miami team to exploit on the Union if they get caught pressing too high up on the field. And they have enough quality on the field where they can pick out a pass and find players that are running in behind. But yeah, I mean, this Union team is going to want to press high up the field. They want to play a high line. They want to turn you over. And once they win that ball back in their own half, 1-2 passes and now you're in with a shot. And so they're a team that's not afraid to shoot from distance. They're a team that likes actually shooting from outside the 18, scored a couple goals already from that area. You guys will remember last year when this match was played down in Miami, Tommy Savilis with that horrible clearance with the header, and Mikau Ur a couple dribbles, and he beats Calendar outside the 18 box. And so this is a team that's not afraid to test the goalkeeper, whoever it may be for Miami in net. And you had mentioned Andre Blake, the goalkeeper. Yes, he did get hurt against with Jamaica.
It looks like he's going to be back, though.
But Bradley Cornell said, yeah, he should be good to go. Nothing to worry about there. So the Union should be pretty good health-wise. Jesus Bueno, who was away with Venezuela, played 45 minutes. And we don't have to get into the politics of, the relations between Venezuela and the U.S. But Jesus Bueno did not return to Philadelphia. He's actually going to meet the team from Venezuela in Miami. And so we'll see if he features. Hasn't featured a lot with the Union this year, but you had mentioned the big question mark, Andre Blake. And Bradley Cornell said he should be good to go, which should be good because the last time these two teams met, Andrew Rick, who started last week against St. Louis City, also started against you guys. Didn't have the greatest of games against Miami. Won the second Messi goal, I believe it was. Rick got a hand to it. Probably should have saved it, but a lot of high pressing. Expect a lot of high pressing. And this team too, they can break you down with their passing, which I think may surprise some people when you talk about a high press team. And they have enough quality in the midfield that they can string along a couple passes, and then a player makes a run in behind and they pick out that pass, and now he's 1-on-1 against the goalkeeper. But I would say high press. Expect a lot of high press out of this team.
Go ahead, Solano.
I'm curious, Todd. We're talking a lot about the offense, a lot about high press. But I was looking at the lineup sheets for the team, and I noticed that the usual center back pairing that the team has is Glesnes and Macania. Now, like you mentioned, Macania was out last game because of red card, and so Glavinovic actually got the start and got the goal in the game. So do you think that Bradley Cornell is going to go back to that Glesnes, Macania back, central back two? Or do you think that after getting the goal last week, Glavinovic will get another start? Because that back line has been fantastic. Only 6 goals let in the first 5 games, which is great. And 4 of those were against Orlando in the first game, right? So really only 2 in 4 games. That's absolutely fantastic from the back line. So I'm curious, is Macania going to be back there, or do you think it'll be Glavinovic getting the start again?
2 against Orlando City. Sorry, just a small. It was 3 they conceded against Nashville, which they shouldn't have conceded 3 goals, but it is what it is. And that's a great question, right? And Bradley Cornell always says, come Monday, there's a fresh slate with these players. No guarantee in the starting 11. You got to earn your spot. And so he was pretty tight-lipped when he was asked about that. And it's a good question, right? Because Glavinovic, Jan, he played so well against St. Louis City, played 71 minutes. He's nursing his way back from a hamstring injury that's kept him out for majority of the season. Yes, he scored a goal. He got a yellow card, so I'm sure that played a factor into it as well. But the partnership between Macania and Glesnes has been really surprising, just because the Union had signed him in 2023 in the summer, and nobody knew what the Union had in him. He was playing with Union too. Jim Curtin wouldn't give him a chance. I mean, it got so bad last year, whether it be players that were injured, players on red cards, that Jim Curtin was playing Nathan Harriel, a natural right back, as a center back without giving Macania a chance as a center back. And Bradley Cornell comes into the preseason and says, look, it's a fresh slate for everybody. And one of those players that took advantage of that was Alawatu Macania. And we actually saw, too, a lot of moments this season with Glesnes and Jan starting as the 2 center backs in preseason. But then with Jan picking up that hamstring injury, the next spot went to Macania. And he's been very, very surprising to me. So it's a great question, Solana. I think if I'm Bradley Cornell, man, I mean, I think I go with Jan. I think I go with Jacob Glesnes. You're going to need players that have experience against South American players, which Jan has playing with Newell's Old Boys the last few years. And him and Glesnes seemed like they had a really good partnership, a really good understanding. And Jacob Glesnes has had his rocky moments this season, but the past game against St. Louis City, he was reading the game really, really well. He was quick, a couple steps ahead of his attackers, which he's not the quickest guys, but I do think big part of that was because of the trust that he has in Glavinovic with them playing in preseason. He's a quick center back. And I think, from Bradley Cornell, I go with Glavinovic, even though Macania has been playing well. But yeah, I think this is going to be a week by week decision for Cornell. But if I was him, I would definitely go with Glesnes and Glavinovic. And look, they kept a clean sheet last week. Only 2 clean sheets this season for the Union, and clean sheets are huge. I don't think the Union keep another one this week against Miami. But yeah, it's tough decisions for Bradley Cornell throughout that whole 11. But maybe none bigger than what he does center back wise.
So, I mean, you've mentioned already a couple players. Like, who do we watch out for? I mean, we know Todd Baribo is right now the top in terms of the goal scorers of the league, right? But who else should we watch out for? Give us a name or two that aren't household names, I guess.
Oh, I'll turn it to your other co-host, Solana. I think he can tell you more about this player than I can, and that's Bruno Damiani. So it's only a matter of time before he gets a starting chance here week in, week out with the Union. Yes, he had one against St. Louis last week, and man, his hold-up play, fantastic. And that's what this team needs, hold-up play, runs in behind. Very, very good left foot. Mika Ua played him a ball in behind, and somehow he turns his body, controls it, and still's able to get a shot off. I do think Bruno Damiani should get the start this week against Inter Miami. And I would not be surprised, right, if he does come out and score a goal. He's so talented, and he's a player that I would picture somebody like an Inter Miami going out and signing, a young South American, a player that has experience playing with the national team. And I know it was during their preseason camps and everything. But look, there's a player that I think a couple seasons in MLS, we could be seeing him making the transfer over to Europe because he's that highly touted. He's that type of player. He's that type of quality. And it's only a matter of time before we see him starting week in, week out. So yeah, I would say Damiani, but also a shout to Jovan Lukic. Like I mentioned a little bit ago, scored 2 goals already this season. He wins, it seems like, every single 50-50 duel in the midfield. A really, really good distributor through the midfield. He's a player that the Union want to get on the ball constantly, just starting that attack. But those would be the 2 players, I think, if I'm an Inter Miami fan, that I would pay attention to this weekend.
Well, and I'm going to bring up a couple things because I was just doing some homework, right? And just looking at some of the stats, because I do want to get into like what's the strengths and weaknesses of the team. And of course, I do feel like you guys have way more strengths than weaknesses, but there are weaknesses. You guys are in the top 3 in terms of fouls committed. You guys have 78. The only 2 ahead of you guys are Houston and DC. And then here alongside of that, your passing percentage isn't the best. You guys are sitting at 78%, one of the lowest in the league. The only worst teams before you guys are St. Louis at 77, Colorado at 76, and Minnesota at 73. Now, a lot of that is also a result of who cares about pass percentage when you guys are pressing and creating turnovers, right? You get it and you make it happen when it matters. But strengths and weaknesses, what can you tell us a little bit about Philadelphia Union with that?
Yeah, again, I mean, you had mentioned it. Who really cares about a passing percentage when you're pressing and everything? And you look at quick transitions, and so I wouldn't buy too much into that. Fouls is a good point, and I'm actually surprised that you said that DC and Houston, I believe you said, were higher than the Union in terms of fouls.
Yes.
I thought Nashville would be up there. Maybe they are, but I'm a little bit surprised that
surprisingly Nashville's in 4th.
Yeah, exactly.
They have 75 fouls committed.
Yeah, and they when they played against the Union, they were super physical, and I think that caught the Union off guard. So yeah, I mean, a team that's going to press you high and everything, they're going to foul you in not dangerous areas. They're going to make you feel it. They're going to get you frustrated, try to earn those yellow cards. They did it against St. Louis City last week and got Leuven sent off. He picks up a stupid foul. No card was going to be given, but then he kicks the ball away after the referee blows the whistle, and now he gets his second yellow card. So this is a team that's going to try to bait you into just silly fouls. And yeah, again, just pressing is a strength of this team. Finishing, I believe the Union are, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, in the top 5, maybe even top 3 this season in terms of shots on target percentage. And so they're a team just like Miami, right? They pick and choose, when to release their shots, and they have to be up in the top 5 again. I haven't.
They are. Miami's 1 and Philadelphia's 3.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, they pick and choose their shots, and usually when they do shoot, they know that shot's going to be on target, and that's part of the reason why they're tied for second most goals in MLS with 12 this season. Strengths, I mean, weaknesses. Again, I would say there's a team that wants to press up high. They're a team that plays a high line, and again, they've been exposed a couple times playing that style of play, and I do think Inter Miami, with their width out wide, I think they can expose the Union playing that way, but. Other than that, I mean, I don't think there's too many weaknesses on this team. And again, I mean, it's 5 weeks into MLS. We're about to approach six weeks now, and so I don't think teams know exactly who they are yet. I think teams are still trying to find out exactly who they are, and maybe as the season goes on, maybe we start to see some weaknesses from the Union. But other than playing such a high line and everything, I can't really point out too many weaknesses on this team. And yeah, I think a lot of Union fans would tell you that they're pretty surprised that the Union have started this season with a 4-1-0 record. And after the way that the year went for the Union last year, missing out on the playoffs for the first time since 2017. And yeah, now they come out one of the hottest teams this season in MLS. And so we will see as the season goes on what their weaknesses are, what their strengths continue to be. Set pieces is another one. 3 set pieces the Union have scored this week. They scored one against St. Louis City off of corner kicks. If I'm not mistaken, you guys struggled defending set pieces last year, and so I think set pieces could be another area of a weakness that the Union may be able to take advantage of in this game.
We're a lot better at set pieces this year than we were last year. I will tell you that. And Chris, since you brought up stats, I want to bring up a badass stat that I think you're going to love, because it's going to intertwine something that we talked about at the beginning of the episode when we were talking about referees. And now you brought up fouls. So Philadelphia has committed 78 fouls and they've gotten 10 yellow cards. That's 1 yellow card every 7.8 fouls. Inter Miami has committed 39 fouls and has picked up 12 yellow cards. That's basically a yellow card every 3.3 fouls. Okay? Every 3.3 fouls, Inter Miami gets a yellow card. Every 12 fouls, Inter Miami gets
We also have multiple red cards.
I was going to say 3 red cards, 39 fouls. That's a red card every 12 fouls. What the heck is going on here? Nobody can ever say that the referees are favoring Inter Miami, because that stat right there says it all.
I mean, you're 1,000% correct on that. I can't even disagree with you on that right there, Solana. Listen, Todd, if you're a betting man, okay, and you want to put the house on Miami, so you walk over to Mascherano and you got to give him the goods on how Inter Miami can beat Philly. What's the secret sauce? How are we going to be able to beat Philly? What's the one thing that's going to help us?
Like I said, I mean, look at exploit them on the counterattack. They're going to play a high line. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. Oh man. So I mean, we can. So just as much as you guys play a high line, we can be able to counter, because look, it was brought up here into the chat. Saga Daddy said wide pass to Allende. That's a wrap. Allende.
Agreed.
Look, I birthed him. Everybody. I don't care what you guys saw on Twitter of what I said before. That didn't exist. That was made through AI. Okay, don't believe that stuff. Allende is going to come through and he's going to wreak havoc if that's the case. And Miami King saying that Fafa will probably start. So that's going to be.
I don't know about all that.
I mean, look, it's good to see him back, right?
No doubt.
That's how it's always good to see him back. And we expected him to be able to make like a sort of a resurgence, right? Coming back and little by little he'll come back. And I think that Mascherano is managing this team perfect right now in terms of like what's going on with injuries. Look, a lot of people were talking in the chat about Messi, that he was practicing earlier this week. Right now, it's touted that he's not going to be going, so tickets are a lot more affordable. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to check it up right now. I'm going to go ahead and go to Ticketmaster.
I checked it. $59 is the cheapest ticket to get into Chase Stadium on Saturday night. If I didn't have a wedding, if I didn't have a wedding, I'd be at the game. But unfortunately, I got to be at a wedding.
Well, but look, I checked Ticketmaster just for the simple fact that a lot of people go through Ticketmaster because it's a more trusted or whatever the case is. But look, Todd, you mentioned StubHub. There's so many other websites where you can get way better price tickets. I don't pick Ticketmaster typically, but a lot of people do because it's just a more trustworthy source. But then they get destroyed on Ticketmaster taxes and stuff like that. But aside from that, you're looking at, I guess, a $50 average ticket prices. We're going to get to predictions right now. This is going to be a big game. This is a big game. This is going to be essentially Miami's first test in terms of playing against a pretty good defense. Like, this is a competitor that we're going to be seeing probably in the playoffs. As far as predictions are concerned, I'll start off with you, Todd. You're the visiting fan. You're the visiting team. What do you think the prediction is going to be in this Saturday's game?
That's a good question. Well, I can say that Miami's won the last two down in Miami, and they're tied, I believe, with a 4-2 record in 10 games in MLS League play. But Miami, again, winning the last two at Chase Stadium. I don't know. I mean, does Miami have enough quality defensively to stop the Union? I do think that they have improved.
Apparently, Soccer Daddy doesn't think anybody has defensive quality in this game, and it's going to be 11-10 Miami wins.
Can you imagine? I mean, the Union are MLS's second highest scoring team. Defensively, they've been decent. Nashville, the exception. Man, this is one that I'm still going back and forth with, and I think 4-1, no. In the back of my head, I keep saying 2-2. I really think the Union have enough quality in the attack, and I love the midfield duo of Danley John Jock and Jovan Lukic just protecting that back line. I mean, there is quality in this Inter Miami team. They are going to score goals. The question is how much, and I think whether or not Messi's in or not, they're still going to score goals. But I can't sleep on Ty Baribo. I can't sleep on Bruno Damiani. I mean, this would be a fantastic game for him to get a start in, a game to prove to the other South Americans on the opposition's team. I mean, you guys know so many South Americans watch this Inter Miami team. And I'm sure he's aware of that there's going to be a lot of South Americans watching this game. And I do wonder if that lights an extra fire on him. And the same with Jan Glavinovic, the center back. And so, yeah, I guess I'll go with 2-2, even though Miami's won the last two. But I think we're going to see a lot of goals in this game. And I think 2-2 is probably respectable, but if Miami came out and won this game, I wouldn't be surprised. But I do think the Union get goals in this game, and I do think Miami is going to have a tough time shutting down that attack of a Damiani, a Ty Baribo, Daniel Gaza, Quinn Sullivan.
Yeah. What about you, Solana? Where were you going with this prediction?
I'm going with Judas. I'm going to say 3-2, but I'm going to go 3-2 Inter Miami. I think, Philadelphia, like Todd said, has a good scoring prowess. They're going to get some goals. We know Inter Miami's back line still suffers. That's their biggest weakness still on the team. And I think Inter Miami has enough firepower to put enough goals in the back of the net. They might not have Messi, but they will have, Suarez. They will have Telasco Segovia. They will have Tadeo Allende, and they have the rest of the players. So, I don't know if Alan Obando will be playing or will be available this week, and I doubt it. Most likely it'll be next week. But I'm going to go 3-2 Inter Miami.
Well, right now, Soccer Daddy's saying Ustadi clean sheet. But then if it's not Ustadi in goal, Rick A says we have Rocco. He speaks Braille and writes in sign language. Totally believable. Okay. And then Walter, welcome back, Walter. We all love you. I love you especially, Walter. Says Miami proves they're a level above the rest with a dominant 3-1. I'm going to go with Walter right here. 3-1. Inter Miami wins. And I do believe that Ustadi will be in goal. I would love to see with straight calendars, he's not going to be able to get it. I don't think he's going to get a start until like tournament play later on, probably like Leagues Cup or something.
If he's still here.
If he's still here, yes. I mean, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Now, the dude Abides is saying Toto out. I don't see that at all. So Rick is saying Walter is alive after being yelled at to death. I didn't yell at him, Rick. Okay, I didn't yell at him. So
what can you guys tell me about Maxi Falcone? I'm assuming it's pronounced. I mean, it looks like it's Falcon, but
yeah,
Falcone, I believe. Ooh,
yes, Maxi Falcone.
I mean, how's he been for you guys? It's a badass name.
He's a beast, but Solana can tell you more than I can for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's been stout in the defensive end. His biggest issue is that I think he's over aggressive, and that leads to him getting injured because he kind of is out of control at times. I don't know if you remember, Chris, but in the game against Kansas City for the CONCACAF Champions Cup, he went down onto the floor for a header.
Yes.
That's how crazy he is. He probably could have got whacked in the head by somebody. But last game against Atlanta, it looked like he picked up a nasty Charlie horse. I think he'll be healthy for the game tomorrow. But if he's healthy, my starting back line right now is Falcone, Noah Allen, or Falcone and Toto Aviles. One of those two is my back line.
And that's the one thing about it, Todd, is that we have as center backs a bunch of aggressive guys. So it can be a beautiful event or a disaster.
Which explains the red cards.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you have the Ian Frey one, which was rescinded, but then you have a couple other red cards that were given. Look, I think that, especially just speaking about Falcone, he's been a beast since his appearance. So we've always anticipated him to permanently solidify his starting spot at the center back position. Toto Aviles was also predicted to be sort of starting as well, but Noah Allen has like risen from the earth like a beast. So
he's a wing back, isn't he? Or a fullback?
Not anymore.
Well, he was a left back, but like there's no way you're getting past Jordi Alba. So find him where you fit him. And the good thing about Mascherano is he was an undersized center back. So it helps to have that as your manager to believe in you and give you that opportunity. Listen, for all the people that were hating on Noah Allen last year, you guys need to eat a cup of rocks because you guys are a mess. Okay. Like Noah Allen.
While you're talking about Noah Allen, everybody should go check out the article that I wrote on Noah Allen and how he's it's part of my Unsung Heroes of Inter Miami series, where I go into a deep analysis on the players that are essentially the unsung heroes. So up to now, we've got a Noah Allen article and we've got a Yannick Bright article. So definitely be on the lookout for some more of those articles. Check them out on my Substack.
So that basically ends that. But before we let you go, Todd, we do have a silly question to ask. Yes. Okay. And I did see Danny asked you, Solana, in the last episode. I love this question because this question is amazing to me. I love these scenarios. But Todd, if you were in a lake jungle location and you were like a lakey jungle area, okay, and you were about to go into battle, okay, just by yourself, no weapons, no nothing, and you had to face one of these options. You have a horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses. Which one are you facing?
Well, I'm dead either way, so.
What?
100 of those things in a lake? I mean, I'm imagining. I know it's a river, but I'm imagining the Amazon. Like,
No, I'm talking about like you're like a local lake where you see like
Todd thinks he's on Naked
dumbass
and Afraid or
ducks.
something.
Yeah, like you see ducks or something.
the
like
way you
those
explain it, you explain it like
I did. I
in
put you
what
in like
is possible.
I put you like in the Jumanji setting. Okay, let's scratch all that. Let's put you in like your local lake area by your house
Yeah,
where you see a lot of ducks.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with it. I'm dead either way. But if I had to fight one
horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses.
I guess we'll try our chances at the horse-sized duck.
Whoa, and that's not the selection. That's not the selection that look, there's people that believe. Look, Danny picked also the same thing, the horse-sized duck. He said, focus on that, right? But then Solana, you guys brought it up, and it's like, dude, imagine how scary it is to look at a horse-sized duck. I would just literally kick all of the 100 duck-sized horses.
That's what I said. I'm scared of the damn ducks that are sitting outside of my house. I promise you, they're not even that big. And I swear, every time I go out there, my son wants to feed them. And I promise you that I think that they're going to bite his hand off. I mean, they are some rabid ducks out here in Kendall, Chris.
Oh, yeah, I know. And Todd, when you get here, when you go to the A1A, you might see a couple ducks. Todd is just accepting his faith according to Alejandro. And Stancy says, I agree with Todd. 100 little horses can be deadly. What? Duck-sized horses? I don't see them deadly. What?
They're gonna gnaw on you, dude. You're gonna be like chihuahuas, ankle biters.
Look at Rick A. He says ducks are nuts, and imagine the size of a fucking horse.
Exactly. Take on one of those instead of all the crazy ducks.
Yeah, I don't know. Listen, Gus, let me tell you something. I am an athlete. For as large as you think I am an athlete. I am a unit, okay? I will not have a heart attack after kicking 20 of those. I could kick 100 of them, and you can give me 300 more, and it's game on, baby, okay? Let's not play around in these streets.
I'm with you, Chris. I'm 100% with you. I think 100 duck-sized horses is the way to go. But I love the question that Mr. Crab asked, and I don't know who irons clothes anymore, guys. I don't know if you guys iron clothes. I steam my clothes.
Yeah, steam.
See, that's what I'm saying. Ironing is so 2000s, 1990s. You got to be steaming. If you don't have a steamer, go get yourself a steamer. That's the way to go nowadays. And
look, I'm gonna ask that question right now, Mr. Krabs. Okay, calm down. It says he's asking how much I bench press. I haven't bench pressed, like tried the bench press like max out, but the last time I maxed out, I think I maxed out at what was it? 305 or 340. It's 305 add the bar, so it's 345 is the bar, so 40, so it's 350. So 350 is how much I maxed out at. Okay. Other than that, I mean, look, as far as the question was, Mr. Krabs is asking how you iron your clothes, because I told, okay, so is it far-fetched to say that you can use a book to iron a shirt?
No.
Because Danny made fun of me. I told him that I've ironed a shirt, not ironed, but like to straighten out a wrinkle. I've
done that. I've never done it personally, but I've heard of it.
I've sat a book on a shirt, and he laughed at me. But now that's because Danny walks around with an iron in his pocket, apparently, everywhere he goes. And he irons every single piece of clothing that he wears, like to his socks. He irons his socks. This guy.
I'm with Solana, though. I mean, you got to be steaming your clothes now. Who irons?
Yeah, or I mean, you don't have a dryer nowadays that has a steamer at part of it. I mean, that's what I do. If I wake up in the morning and my shirt's wrinkled, I throw it in there. I put Steam Fresh in 10 minutes. It's nice and wrinkle free.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've done it in a pinch. I've done it before. My iron was broken and I had to do it. So
You guys think Tommy's still here?
Maybe not. I don't think so. He hasn't responded to anything recently. He just came in,
Maybe
drove by.
maybe we can all get some pizza. And what did he do? He ate his pizza with a knife or something like that, or
Oh,
what?
Yes,
fork
he
and knife,
did.
baby. Fork and
He
knife. That's the way to go.
Danny and I went out and met up with him, and he literally ate his pizza with a fork and knife, cut it up.
Toddler.
Yes, it was one of the most astronomically crazy things I've ever seen in my whole life.
If it's stifling hot, you can't just stick the pizza in your mouth. You're going to burn the whole top of
You
your
wait
mouth.
for it to
No,
cool
you
down.
just
no, wait.
wait.
You cut it. You put it on your fork. You
Wait, you're
blow
gonna
on it.
blow on it too? No, you're
Yeah,
crazy.
you blow on
Who
it
does
and
that
you put
with
it in your mouth.
pizza?
I do.
All you got to do is just wrap the pizza up and then just start biting into it. Cutting into a pizza? What are we doing?
Yeah,
So weird.
it's I 100% agree with you, Todd. Saga Daddy says Tommy is banned in Italy. That is absolutely factual there. Todd, it's time to wrap. It's time to wrap this up. You're gonna have a flight to catch early in the morning tomorrow. Thank you so much for being on with us, Todd. It is much appreciated. And you're battered fam all the way through and through. But Todd, let everybody know where they can be able to find you. Which, by the way, guys, wait, before you get started, Todd, guys, if you don't go to the Free Kick Pod on YouTube right now and subscribe, I'm gonna send 100 duck-sized horses to all your houses. Okay. Because if you really want to see how Philly plays, look at the breakdowns that he does. Todd spends so much time and he does a great job. One of the best jobs I've seen in the nation in terms of breakdowns. I swear to you, and I'm not just kissing your ass, Todd. It's really great what you do. Guys, you need to check this out, or 100 duck-sized horses are going to be Amazon one-day ship to your house. Todd, let everybody know where they could be able to find you.
Yeah, if you guys want to follow the podcast on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, follow Free Kick Pod. Wherever you guys get your podcasts, the Free Kick. Check out the YouTube channel like Chris had just plugged. I appreciate that. YouTube.com/Free Kick Pod for goals breakdown videos where I do the podcast live the day after the game, so usually Sunday nights. And then if you guys want to check out my writing, goals breakdown videos, or podcasts all in one space, you guys can check out thefreekick.substack.com. But yeah, the only argument I would have, Chris, is that I don't think there's too many people in the MLS world that's doing goals breakdown videos. So I think that's why you have to say that. But anyway, I appreciate the compliment. And for all the people that check out those videos, I know your listeners here on the Battered Herons, a lot of those have come over to the YouTube page and commented. I mean, anytime these two teams, Philadelphia and Inter Miami, get together, a lot of views from your fans on those videos. And so I appreciate the support. And yeah, it's always great coming onto the show, interacting with you guys, interacting with the comment section. And we all know the best part of this show. And so yeah, you guys continue to make the show what it is. And without the chat, the show wouldn't be as good. But as always, it's a blast to be able to come onto the show and talk Philadelphia Union, or head on to the MLS Battered Fans YouTube page. So I appreciate anytime you guys have me on, and looking forward to seeing two fantastic games, one fantastic game this weekend with lots of goals, hopefully.
Solana, any last words before we head out?
Nope. It's been fun. And like always, thank you to the chat, and thank you, Todd, for joining us. Hopefully, I'll see you this weekend at some point. And if not, then I guess I'll have to go to Philly. We'll have to go to Chester and check out a game. I know Chris wants to go. Chris wants to go to Chester to watch a game because he's a big fan of the Sons of Ben.
Listen, I will flirt with the idea of doing like a mini celebration if Philly does score. Just sing the Dupe song for like 5 seconds. Hopefully I'm not on camera or anything like that. But I'll keep that a secret amongst us here.
Yeah.
And Mr. Krabs is asking still that I haven't still explained what a lake jungle is. Listen, I don't need to explain anything, Mr. Krabs.
A lake inside of a jungle. I mean, it's pretty easy.
A lake inside of a jungle. If you want to add another lake in the jungle, you can add that, Mr. Krabs. I'm not going to explain it. Okay. I'm not explaining it. That's enough. And Sean is asking, why am I wearing Yankee merch? Because I am originally a Yankees fan. I still am a Yankees fan, but I do like to support the Marlins because my son likes to watch the Marlins locally here, of course. We, and we got to support some of the local teams, and the Marlins do have good giveaways. So guys, I'm going to plan on doing this giveaway at some point. I don't know when. I don't know how we're going to do it. And you guys with the boot, you know what, guys? That's enough of this show tonight, okay? Thank you guys so much for chiming in. For those of you listening on audio, leave 5 stars and put, "You suck, Mr. Krabs," okay? Because Mr. Krabs is questioning too much about this Lake Jungle crap, right? On iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen, go ahead and leave 5 stars. Thank you guys so much for you all in the chat for being playful and booing me and Mr. Krabs begging for Daniel back. I'll call Daniel, okay? I'll call Daniel. I'll go back on vacation, okay? Leave a like, subscribe, let some friends of yours know that there's an Inter Miami podcast out here doing stuff that's not like your typical Inter Miami podcast stuff. And no, honestly, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us while Alejandro unfollows us. Guys, until the next one, Florida Man says dislike everyone. Have a good one. Deuces.
See ya.